Good morning and welcome to another episode of Oversharing with Shameless Elle. I'm super excited for the guest that I have on today. She has been featured on Fox News, Forbes magazine, Daily Mail, Entertainment Tonight, and she has a patent on the Know Your Fucking Wife, I don't even know, book, help book. Anyways, for the very first time, Oversharing with Shameless Elle has its very first sponsored episode. NutriBlast is a feminine hygiene brand with over 50,000 five-star reviews on Amazon. They are the leading brand on Amazon for feminine hygiene, and they have some really cool products. I am going to share a little bit more about those later on in the show. Welcome, my good friend Natalie, to the show. But I just realized that when I did her introduction, I said Riley. I said Natalie Railey, and that's not how you say her last name. It's actually Railey, which is stupid because it's spelt Riley, and I don't care what your husband thinks. It's Riley, says Riley, but
It's actually
if we were good friends,
Railey. So I'm glad you can spell, and
wait, what?
yeah, it's misspelled.
Oh no. Fuck me, hey? I fucked that up royally. Okay, well, okay, so not that great of a friend. Welcome my not
We're
that
more
great
of
of a
like brief
friend.
acquaintances, like maybe we've
Yeah.
passed each other in the market.
Oh
Our
God,
kids
this
might
really,
have been on the same soccer team, you know.
this really, it's not working out for me very well. I like her a lot though. Welcome,
What I do know of her.
Parody Mom. Okay, so I have got some questions for
Okay.
you. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being daily and 10 being hourly, how often do you think about me?
You say, how often do I think about you?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought for a second you said, how often do you think about meat? How often do I think about you? It oscillates between 60 to 90 minutes.
Every 60 to
Yeah.
90 minutes. That's good.
It's like
Okay. How much do you hate watching your old videos on a scale of 1 to 10?
like 9.7.
It's horrible, isn't
I
it?
went
Why is it so bad? It's so
I went
cringy.
through some really bad phases that I didn't realize. Like that phase where I put on a bunch of weight. Like that phase where my hair was short, that phase where it was all different colors, that where I had a lot of makeup on. It's or when I thought I was being like clever and it's so
Yeah. Why are we so like I don't like just the worst ever. I don't know. And it's always like when I make the video, for like a little bit of time, I'm like, yeah, that was that was some good stuff. And I'm like laughing about it for like I'll even go back. I'll go back. Ridiculous. I watch my own videos a ridiculous amount of times. And for like 24 to 72 hours, I think it's the best thing ever. I'm like, that's awesome. Good job. And after that, I'm like,
I don't
oh,
know if I've ever had that feeling watching something back and thinking, oh yeah, I'm the greatest. This is gonna live well.
You should live in my world. I honestly think that about myself all the time.
I honestly, I look at it and I cringe before I even post it. And then I have to go to my husband and I'm like, will you watch this? And he actually thinks the real life stuff, like I was ranting about something in the kitchen yesterday. And he goes, this is why we need to have cameras in the house to just capture these moments, because that was the funniest thing I've ever heard, Natalie. What did I just say? What did I say? And he goes, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't. Really funny. And I was like, well, that sucks.
Anytime something like that happens and I want to go back and tell it, I can never tell it in the same way. But like there's definitely times where I make videos where I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, whatever, and I post it anyway. And a good example of that was like the first time that I did like a drooling video.
Oh God.
It was like,
I love you so much, but when I see it come on, that is how, like, I have a physical reaction. I know it goes over like gangbusters.
but It did, and I honestly didn't enjoy the
I'm
video. Like, I made it, and I was like, "Oh, this is too slapstick. It's too stupid." And I'm very much somebody that loves dry humor, so all the ones that are, like, more dry humor, I like of mine better, but the problem with that is that half of the fucking people on TikTok think I'm serious, and then, like, I'll be saying something like, "No, like, the last time that my boyfriend, like, broke up with me, like, it wasn't because, like, he didn't love me, it's because, like, he was just busy, like, he's just busy a lot of the time," and, like, I'll do I'll do something like this, right? And everybody will think I'm serious. Like, they think I'm serious. They're like, I think your boyfriend doesn't like you."
Yeah, it's
Like,
alarming to me the number of people who really, really can't pick up a joke.
yeah, a lot. There's
I
a
wonder
lot.
how do you survive, number one? And number two, I want you to know, as someone who doesn't pick up on humor, that there are probably people telling lots of jokes about you.
Back to some questions because I enjoy asking you these. What is your best insult?
That someone has given to me or that I would give to someone.
Either.
Um, I don't like to insult people very often, but
Lies.
to their
Lies.
I like to make it as ridiculous as possible. Like, I would say, you smell like stale raisin bran, just something,
That cuts
something a
deep.
little bit odd where you're like, that's could be possible. Um, and that's a
Yeah.
very specific thing. So I must smell like that. And then that person spends a while addressing it, which is probably good for everyone. Um, I think
I mean, that was kind of like direct. I don't know. That would hurt my feelings. I don't know if I'd like that.
I have to
I
be in the moment of something.
Yeah, you do. And you are very good at in the moment insults. You're very quick with the quips.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse.
I wish I was better with it. I'm trying to get better. Sometimes I hear a good insult and then I write it down and then I keep it and then I'm going to use it later like it's mine.
But instead of having like a recipe box, you have a bunch of insult cards and you're just gonna fly off.
Yeah. One of my favorites that I just heard was from a TikToker who's like recently gotten onto water talk. And it's like it's a lot of drama there. There's a lot of drama on water talk.
Are we talking
And
like
so he was
water
on
talk?
there.
Like I like spring, I like distilled, I like sparkling.
No. Well,
Or
kind of. Yeah. And they put flavors in their water. And they talk about the flavors. That's all I know. That's all I know about water talk. And they seem to all drink from Stanley water bottles. This is as deep as I've gotten into water talk. I didn't know about water talk, and then I seen one of my favorite creators who's recently deep dived into water talk. And so I was like, "What is water talk?" So I had to find out, and they drink water. And then they talk about water, and they talk about the stuff they put in their
so it's
water
wine
and what.
club, but for water.
There's a whole side of TikTok just talking about water.
Well, okay.
But one of my favorite insults was the insult that he got when he commented. Or he commented or he made a video and somebody from Water Talk told him that he had brown piss vibes.
When you said that out loud, I could immediately smell it.
Oh, I just spit everywhere. Oh my God. No, I died. I died. You can like see it, like the
You
darkest pee you've ever
comes
taken.
out thicker, It's like dumping
Yeah.
Caro syrup into a toilet.
Or it's like steaming hot, when you take like a steaming hot pee. No, that's when something's wrong with the pussy. Okay, but you've had to have had a steaming hot pee before, no?
Only if my external environment was cold, you know, like if I was at an ice skating rink.
You've never steamed in regular temperature.
No.
You've never had steaming pee in regular temperature.
I can't recall ever having that experience because.
I think you have.
Well, now I'm very close to, I'm going to journal about it. I'll video it. I'll send it to you. You'll see just the vapor off the toilet bowl.
Take a video for me.
I bet you're into that. You want me to flush the toilet with my bare feet too? I bet you like feet.
I do. I would like that, actually. I think that'd be nice. But that has to be one of the worst insults I've ever heard. Like, if somebody told me I had brown piss vibes, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean about me? Does that, like, it means so many things, you know? Are you unhealthy? Do you have a yeast infection? Or are you, like,
wildly hydrated?
Drink no water?
I mean,
You're
that's
super
that's such a water person thing to say to someone.
I frequently will put coffee in a water bottle so I look healthy.
Technically, coffee is water.
It is water.
Dirty bean water, but it's water.
You know what? I will base my like closeness of friendship on like the kind of like bad mom things that friends will do with me. Like, I have one friend, she looks like super classy. Everybody pins her for being, you know, just like a real, I don't know, like one of those classy moms that doesn't do anything wrong. And frequently me and her will, like, when we go to our kids' soccer game, because they were both on like the same soccer team, we go as far as fucking possible from the game and sit there in lawn chairs and drink. This is my idea of friendship, right? We're still there. We're just can't see what they're doing.
Those are good. Understand that it doesn't make you a bad person or a bad mom. It's just sometimes you got to do something that's considered unmomish. Just to remind yourself that the bad bitch you are and still are. And if one of those other moms came up to me, I'm going to be taking out my earring. I'm ready to go.
You know what? When your kids are so fucking busy, like, I feel like I'm living the life of an Uber driver. I'm just fucking here and there. And like, you have to sneak those moments in when you can. Cause I don't have time. I don't have fucking time. And now my weekends belong to my boyfriend because that's the only fucking time I get to see him. So, you know, it's except for tomorrow and the rest of the, cause most of the time it's just weekends, except for the most part of this week.
I'm just going to make a quick note. Not good at math, not good at calendars.
Okay, listen.
I just want to keep these notes so that I know what to give you gift-wise in the future. I'm very good.
Okay, so I tend to get this like response from people around me. People want to fix me.
Why do you think that is? Is it are you too open about not your level of understanding or knowledge in certain areas, and they feel like they have a good grip on it, so they just want to take you by the hand and walk you through that with them? Or are they trying to be, you know, show offs?
You know what? I think it's a variety. It's a variety of things. Number one, I think a lot of people have the same issues that I have, but I'm shameless and I just don't care. And I tell people. Everybody else just keeps it a secret. But I think a lot of people are having the same struggles as me. It's just I'm the only one telling people openly, right? So I'm the only honest person out there about these issues.
They're all a bunch of fakers.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. And then also there's the other issue where I'm probably not putting enough like attention to detail in certain things, like getting dressed, for example. I don't know how it happens, but I frequently end up with my clothes inside out or possibly on backwards.
I'm gonna not offer advice. I'm gonna not try to fix you. I'm gonna not try to save you from yourself. I'm just gonna say, who gives a shit? And wear the shirt inside out. It was a trend for a while. Remember back in the 90s, Crisscross wore their stuff backwards. Maybe bringing it back.
It's a new trend.
Retro.
My boyfriend and I, we started dating in December, right? And we live in different towns. We live about an hour apart. And he had come down the first 3 times. And then I was going to go and see him. And it happened to be Christmas Day. We both had like the morning with our kids. And then the kids went to their other parents for the rest of Christmas. So we were going to spend Christmas Day together. And I go to his house and I actually put a decent amount of energy in, right? Like I got some red undergarments and they looked real good. I did the self tanner. I had the makeup, hair, nails, I did all
you
the
made
things.
Yourself a full on ho ho ho.
Yeah, ho 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 ho. I did that for him, right? But I show up and in the midst of like running out the door, like I put my pants on and because I normally don't wear pants at home. And so I put my pants on and I run out of the house and drive out there. And he loves this story because he's like, and you show up at my house at Christmas. And I didn't expect a lot, but like I put my hands on your ass and my hands slid in your pockets because you had your pants on backwards. Right. And I just thought like your level of try on that day might have been slightly higher. But it turns out no.
You're like, that. Don't question my level of try. Question my level of detail.
The other stuff was good. That's like one out of a lot of things.
Yeah. It's like you made a beautiful birthday cake, but it just so happens you put the wrong name on it. It happens.
It still tastes the same.
It's the thought.
Just fucking eat it.
I wore pants.
Just eat it.
I wore pants.
And you know what? The response is the same. Just fucking eat it. Like, what's the problem? Okay. Pants on right doesn't make it taste better.
I brought you cake.
Yeah, I brought you cake. Just fucking eat it. Oh my God. Okay, let me get to some of these questions because I want to talk about you.
I love how you just leaned in like that skit from SNL where they're like, I love sweaty balls. Yeah. I love it just melts in your mouth. Oh, just I can barely get that ball in my mouth.
I think my favorite one is still the fucking sweater weather. Every fucking time I see it.
It's sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
Oh my God. Did you hear? Did you hear?
You do it so good. You do it so good.
There were some videos a long time ago. This was like really early pandemic time. And I did a few skit videos with a friend. Yeah, we did a lot of sweater weather.
You did a lot of sweater weather. They're my favorite. Kristen Wiig, and I can never fucking remember her name. Who's the chick that was like her best friend on Bridesmaids? The one that was actually the bride. Maya Rudolph. That's right. Okay. Yeah, her and Kristen Wiig, I think, are my absolute favorites. They're just so funny.
Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, that's my jam all day long.
I don't know what it is. Something about me doesn't like Amy Poehler. I don't know why. I just broke your heart.
A little.
I know. I don't know what it is.
I think your dislike of Amy Poehler just made my nipples retreat. Like I've never had a reverse erect nipple before, but that's
sorry.
how turned off I am right now.
You know what movie is my favorite of Amy
Yeah.
Poehler? Baby Mama.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, that one was great.
Did you ever watch Parks?
Sometimes she's just weird.
Did you watch Parks and Rec?
Only a couple times. I didn't.
You've never worked in an office, though, have you? And you most certainly have never worked for government. Like I work for government.
Hey, I could work for the government.
Spell government.
GOVERNMENT.
Please mark this clip and insert applause.
Don't underestimate me. This isn't a spelling contest, Natalie. Okay?
It always is.
Go talk to your friend Justin. Okay? He fucking says badminton. Yeah. Yeah. That's what he says. And it's not badminton.
It's Minton. But he also lives. I don't know that they have dictionaries down there.
Yeah, well, like he just makes new words. Like it's like that's not even the fucking word. You just made it into something different. You don't get to create your own words.
That's called wordsmithing. And it needs to be funny. If you're going to make up a word, it needs to be funny.
Tell me about farting at work.
Ooh. So
Tell me about that time that you farted at work and then it kind of went viral and a lot of people talked
just
about
to be clear, the video of me explaining my fart at work went viral. The fart itself didn't cause anything viral to happen. I just
want to say that I don't feel like that's very governmentally. So,
well, have you been paying attention to American government lately? I think a lot of it is just a fart in an empty hallway.
Listen, I fucking stumped you like 20 minutes in. I'm taking that as a win. You were speechless for all of like 2 seconds.
Well, so I wasn't working for the government at that point in time, but it was a warehouse, manufacturing facility type of environment. And so all of the guys that I was around when this took place are like factory worker dudes, like carrying out their lunchbox, sitting at a picnic table, shooting the breeze, talking about Hemi engines and beer and NASCAR and whatever. And I'm just like, good morning. How's everyone doing? Like
just like that.
And my face probably went from how's it going to that. And I don't know what anyone's reaction was. I don't know what they heard, what they smelled, but I'd been working from home for so long that my muscle memory.
You just got like a loose asshole.
I had Alzheimer's of the asshole, and I forgot that it's supposed to stay, high.
In. Yeah. Have you ever farted during sex? Did you?
The fun part about that is that you can usually blame it on them.
In sex? I don't know if you can blame it on them at that time. There's nobody else
No,
there.
you can blame it on him because I'm like, you're just, you're treating me like I'm a tire on a Huffy and you're just pumping me full of air right now. It's gone. I can only take so much. Like,
there's nothing worse than a queef, honestly. That is like, that's the most embarrassing thing that can happen to me during sex. Like, it hasn't happened to me for a very long. I'm fucking jinxing myself.
If everybody
right
relax and get past their ego with it, it creates a little vibration.
Yeah, but okay. So like one time it just like it kept going, like the first queef was like that. I could have got over, but then it just like slowly kept going. I'm like, and there's no holding that in. There's no muscle to hold that in. Like, it's not like a fart where you can just like you can't. I don't.
Okay.
Wait, is it just me?
What?
Am I the only one that can't hold it in?
Well, I don't know. I might have I've not compared notes about this particular topic, but people
Yeah.
do talk to me about my vagina a lot. It's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've not compared. Now you got me wondering. I'm going to call my sister, and I'm going to call my mom, and I'm going to call.
Yeah. Well, I think the viewers need to weigh in as well. Like, if you're watching this, like, can you hold in
I can.
queef? You can
Yeah.
stop it. No.
Yeah.
What? Is it just me? Do I have like loose pussy muscle?
No, but maybe I have, because of the different surgeries I've had, maybe I've almost had like plastic surgery down there.
Could you hold it in before?
So maybe my vaginal muscles at this point in time are the equivalent of like me comparing my natural breast to someone who's had a breast augmentation. And they're like, look how high up and, beautifully perky mine are. And I'm like, you've had work done. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's
great.
not fair.
I'm proud of you. But I don't have that. So right now I have the fake tits of vaginas, I think.
You got a super vagina.
Some might say. I don't have a comic book or anything, but
Okay, we're going to take a quick break while we hear from our sponsor, NutriBlast. As a woman, there are a lot of times in our lives where we have to deal with different feminine issues. And one of my favorite things about NutriBlast is that they have these pH test strips that you can use to check the pH of your vagina. This gives you a really good idea of whether you might have trick or BV yeast infection, because during those times, your pH is going to be really, really off. NutriBlast has a large variety of feminine hygiene products. They've got boric acid suppositories. They have the pH test strips. They also have probiotics and feminine wash. They have a variety of different things for anything that you might need. And if you guys are going to try NutriBlast, you can also follow the link in the description, and there's a code for 20% off on your next order. Use the code SHAREL20 for 20% off with NutriBlast. And now back to the show. So speaking of which, Natalie, you would you say that your account grew like the most when you kind of came out with the fact that you had, as you call it, gotten cooter cancer, which is actually called it's vulvar
correct.
cancer, and you were diagnosed in May 2021?
Yeah. When I chose to share that online, it did really blow up. I'd had a few things prior to that go viral, but nothing that really started a real conversation like this did. And so, all of the silly stuff before that went viral, like my husband, hiding my favorite shirt from me, or the story about my grandpa, things like that people could relate, but it wasn't shocking, and it wasn't eye-opening. And that, I think, is what drew a lot of people in, that I was just being really open and honest about something that a lot of women are incredibly embarrassed about for some reason. And the number of conversations I've had offline with women who I don't know, they've reached out to me with questions. And I'm very clear about, I'm not a medical provider, but I can tell you what my experience was. And if I were you, I would do XYZ. So many women don't want to talk to even their healthcare provider about it. And I'm like, they went to school for a really long time and focused on that body part. Like, there isn't anything you're going to say to them and they're going to be like, oh, get out of here. If you went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor and you said, hey, I've got a stuffy nose, that's their job. Same thing. You go to the OBGYN and you're like, hey, something's funky. Let's figure it out.
I mean, yeah, but like it's never comfortable getting a pap. Like even when it's just women, it's never comfortable getting a pap. My last pap, I got like a student and she was down there for a long time. And I'm like, you're just kind of like looking up, trying like you feel like you can't make eye contact while they're down there. So you're like finding other things to look at. And then after like a few minutes, she goes, I can't find it. And I'm
Like
like,
what?
what are you finding? Like, I don't know. What are you looking for down there? And she's like, I can't find her cervix. And I'm like,
Where'd it go?
I'm pretty sure it was there the last time. Like, I don't think I lost it. But it's like it's an uncomfortable thing. And then mine is like it's like hidden, and then the other doctor's telling her to look for like a nose. She's like, it looks like a nose. Try to find a nose. And I'm like, what is fuck?
Like what?
Okay. And, and
Oh,
then they made me put my fists under my back so I could like tilt it. So I'm like, it's it's not a comfortable thing. It's not awesome.
well, and I think that is true for a lot of people. But if I
Yeah.
could just motivate anyone to
Yeah, get
get,
over it.
that's the time.
Get
This is the
over it. Yeah.
place to just literally let it all hang out. And
Mhm.
so interestingly, so it's not a pap smear that discovered I had vulvar cancer, and that's not because it's external. And so the pap is checking for precancerous cells.
Internal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
internal.
Can you start from like the beginning and tell us a little bit of like when you started to notice like signs that something was wrong, and like walk us through so that women, if they are seeing any of those things, they'll know what to look
Yeah.
for.
So 2021, we were a year into the pandemic, and I was in the shower one day. I'm just washing off and following the instructions of my previous OBGYN that I left back in Florida. Her wise teachings to me when I was in my 20s, she's like, you know, get in and clean yourself. You don't need soap. Just, basically it was a whoop, swoop, and pull. That was
Hold on,
two
wait a
things.
minute. Hold on, wait a minute. Are you putting your fingers up yourself in the
Yeah.
shower regularly, like a regular shower? You're doing a you're you're doing you're am I supposed to do that?
I don't know.
I never knew I was supposed to do that. I don't go inside.
Oh, I I just
Why?
give myself with no soap, two fingers, a whoop, a swoop,
Little
and a pull.
I mean, I do that. No, no. I do that not in the shower. Does that count?
I mean,
No.
I want to clear this up. I didn't go to school. So everything I'm saying could be a total bucket of lies. But it's worked for me.
To put your What do you mean? What has worked? What's worked?
Well,
How do you know it's working?
I don't have infection issues or
Okay.
odor issues.
Neither do I.
Yeah. Well, then you know what? If it's not broke, don't fix it.
I mean, maybe I want to fix it. Sounds
Maybe
nice.
you'd end up taking longer showers, and maybe you shouldn't.
Why do you say that? Maybe I should.
No, I'm just saying you in particular could possibly get a little distracted in the shower and forget that you have somewhere to be.
Okay, continue on with your story. So you're doing the what are we calling this? What are we calling
So there I was fingering myself.
If you're not fingering yourself in the shower,
Where the hell
what
are
are
you
you doing? This is normal. Okay. So you're fingering yourself in the shower.
I'm giving her the
Mhm.
whoop, swoop, and pull. And
Mhm.
I felt a
What are you pulling?
I
Hold on. What are you
whoop
pulling?
goes in, swoop pull is out. That's it.
You're just pulling out.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're fingering yourself. You pull
Obviously,
out.
because I don't want.
I'm sorry. Okay, so you were fingering yourself in the shower, and then what?
So I was cleaning her out, giving her an oil change, and
Right.
felt a lump, like the size of a pea, that isn't supposed to be there. It's not in a spot where you'd get like an ingrown hair or anything.
Right, on like the
Yeah,
opening.
yeah, just the opening.
Okay. And it was like the same color?
Yeah, same skin color as the surrounding tissue. It wasn't painful. It wasn't like,
Okay.
excreting anything that made me think, oh, I've got some infection. So, but it's down there and I can only fold so far. And also I have really bad vision. So like even holding her, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure really what I was looking at. So I asked my husband, hey, can you take a look? And he goes, love to. So he puts on his headlamp. He put on his headlamp and he had his readers, from Walgreens. And
That's too close. That's too close.
very thorough, very thorough. So he's like, okay, get up here on the bed. No, face the other direction so the light from the window is also there. And I've got my headlamp. And I was like, that's a lot of light.
That's too much light. I don't want anybody that close with
It
all
was
that
like
light.
she was a star on Broadway for a few moments.
Oh, God.
And he gets down there and he's, and he goes, yeah, I see it. Yeah, okay. And then his assessment, because he's a medical professional, he is not. He doesn't even know what cough syrup to take. So he's most certainly not qualified to make this judgment call. But he said, an ingrown hair, it's going to pass. And I was like, I don't think so, but I will wait. So I waited a week and it was still there. So I called my doctor and I made an appointment. She said, I can get you in a couple of days. I said, great. My appointment day rolls around and they call me and they say, we have to reschedule. Someone went into labor. She's at the hospital. And I said, totally understandable. That's part of her job. So we rescheduled for the next day. The next day comes, we have to reschedule. Someone else went into labor. And I was like, are you doing this on purpose now? That's fine. We'll reschedule. So they moved me to the next day. Again, next day, same thing.
No.
So they're like, just come in and we'll let you see someone else, one of the other doctors. And I said, okay, that's fine. So I go in and I see this other doctor and we have a brief conversation before I put my feet in the stirrups. And she's asking me, what's going on? And I said, just what I told you. I found this bump, doesn't hurt. It's not discolored, but I'm just a little concerned because it's out of place and it's new. She goes, okay, let's take a look. And by the way, do you have any new sexual partners? No, I've been with the same man for 20 years. And she's like, okay, no problem. Feet go up. And she made the noise that you don't want to hear. She went,
oh, no.
huh.
Oh, I don't like that noise.
It's the worst. And so then she says, give me just a minute. I'll be right back. And she comes back in with another doctor. So now there are two female doctors in the room with me. And the first one says, I've never seen this before, so I wanted to get a second opinion. The second opinion doctor comes in, immediate glance says, oh, genital warts. I said,
I've had a fucking doctor do that to me as well. We'll get to that later. Sorry. Continue.
So at that point I said, what? That doesn't seem possible to me. I'm going to need you to elaborate immediately. And she said, well, let's do a biopsy and we'll confirm it. But yeah, I think you're going to have to go home and have an awkward conversation with your husband. So
you had been together for how long at that point?
We had been together for 20 years, married for 18 at that point.
So you obviously know you haven't cheated. In your mind, did it cross your mind? Did he cheat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would.
The
You'd
thing
have
that
to.
crossed my mind was, if I were my friend or if I were my sister and they were telling me this and they were just blindly going to say, he would never, I'd be like, girl, you never know. The craziest things can
Yeah.
happen with even with the best man. Stuff can go
Yeah.
off the walls. So they do the biopsy, they numb me and they do a biopsy, and tell me I'd get a call in a few days. So I get in my car and I immediately call my sister and I'm hysterical. And she's reassuring me, never in a million years, Natalie, would he do that? I don't believe it. She's the one who's telling me I don't believe it. And I was like, well, I'd be stupid if I don't go home and look him in the eye and say, hey, one time, did you, have too many cocktails, slip and fall, and your dick landed in someone? Like, just, I'm giving you an out. Just tell me. And he was so upset that I even asked him. I mean, he understood why I had to, but that hurt his heart so much that that's what the immediate assumption was, because it put a strain on us for days. And that night, I remember being in my shower, just sort of washing off the day, crying a little bit about.
Swooping.
No, I was taking a break.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
But I was in the shower and I was crying a little bit, just trying to have a me moment to just clean it all out.
Yeah.
And my husband came in and he saw me and he was, fully clothed, and he opens the shower door and comes in there and just holds me and embraces me, and says,
Oh.
I would never hurt you that way. I don't always like you, but I love you and I respect you, and I would never do to you what our dads did to our moms. And
Yeah.
at that moment, I was like, okay, I think we can mark this off of the list of possibilities. But meanwhile, he's Googling, can you get genital warts from a public toilet seat?
Right? Okay. I got to interrupt your story here at this point because, like, if you are a doctor listening to this, can we just come to a fucking agreement that we don't diagnose people with genital warts, like, from sight? Because this exact same thing happened to me. It was, would have been like 4 or 5 years ago. Unbeknownst to me, my son gets this virus called molluscum contagiosum. And for those of you that don't know what this is, it is a virus that has no treatment, and it will last for like 2 years. And it creates like almost like wart like blemishes, or I don't like little, they kind of look like a wart, except they're not callousy like a wart is. They're like very smooth. So it's like almost, or even like a pimple, but it's kind of flat on top. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know he had this, and he hadn't said anything to me. And me and my oldest son and my boyfriend all used the same bathroom because it had a shower, like a stand-up shower, and my other one didn't. So my son gets this, and my boyfriend and I were pretty new. I think we were like 6 months in. And one day while I'm going downtown on him, I notice he's got these like little bumps. And I'm like, huh. But they kind of look like a pimple. And I was like, hmm. And then like a few days later, I noticed them on myself, and I'm like, fuck me, this motherfucker just gave me something. And I ended up having an appointment with a naturopath that day. And so while I'm in there, I'm like, hey, can you take a look at this? And she's like, yeah, whip them down. And I, take my pants down and like show her my, my vag. And she's like, well, it looks like molluscum contagiosum. And I'm like, excuse me, what now? What is that? And she's like, well, it's a virus, it's this and that. And I'm like, is that an STD? She's like, well, it can be spread through sexual but it's not typically like an STD. This can be spread, from not washing your hands in the bathroom. And, honestly, mostly kids get this. And I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, but you should definitely book an appointment with your GP and confirm this. So I go the next day. I got in right away, and I, have the doctor come in. She takes one look. She's like, oh, you have genital warts. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? 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 Like, she's like, yeah, no, you have genital warts. I'm like,
Who knew that was going to be the quick draw answer for so many doctors?
What the fuck? I'm like, honestly, I like looked at her. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, how, like, is there not like a test or something?
Yes,
that
there
you
is.
do? Yeah, I know that now, but and she's like, no, she's like, I've seen it 100 times. That's genital warts. And I'm like, well, I seen a naturopath yesterday and she seemed to think it was molluscum contagiosum. And she's like, oh, yeah, it could be that. I'm like, you fucking bitch. I'm like, I would have went home and been like, you gave me genital warts, right? Like, that would have been my first thought, was that he gave them to me. And, and he would have thought I gave them to him. And, and we were pretty new. We probably would have fucking broke up after this. And anyway, so she then says, you know what, I'll refer you to a specialist. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Go to the specialist, find out it is molluscum contagiosum. And that's when I find out that my son also has them. And so we had gotten them from sharing towels. Yeah. So anyways, can we all just fucking decide not to diagnose people with genital warts without testing them for it? Like, that fucking sucks. You totally ruin someone's relationship.
If you
Just
feel a moral obligation as a medical provider to tell someone the possibility of that, so make
sure.
informed and educated decisions about their sexual activity from that point forward, that I find to be wholly respectable. But to
Reasonable.
just say, oh, that's what that is, and you're going to have an awkward conversation with your husband when you get home.
No, I mean, put it all out there. Like, say, you know what? It could be one of a few things. It could be this. It could be that. Maybe refrain from having sex with anybody at this point until we can, get a firm diagnosis.
Let's figure it out. Let's not freak out. But this is a problem I have. I need to really work on this, because even though those people did me incredibly wrong, I still feel for them, because I know in their position, a 40-year-old woman presenting with what I had, the likelihood of me having vulvar cancer was so incredibly rare. They say that it's rare as it is, but it's usually for someone over the age of 60, 65. So to 40,
wow.
I mean, I'm advanced, but, I don't think it was on their radar.
So Natalie, you go through this diagnosis and these few days where your husband kind of comes into the shower and like gives you this hug, and you guys are just trying to get through these next few days without believing that one of the other has fucking cheated on each other. And then tell me what happened after your diagnosis.
So at this point, I didn't have a real diagnosis. They had an assumption of genital warts, and I was just flabbergasted by that. And so they did the biopsy and sent me home. And I spent a week running through every memory I have, running through every other possible symptom, thinking maybe there's some other thing that's correlated and that's going to answer everybody's questions. And so I'm hyper present in every function of my body, like journaling when I peed, journaling how much I slept, did I wake up with eye boogers this day? I mean, it was ridiculous. And then a week after the biopsy, I get a phone call. I remember being out on my back patio. It was a nice spring day. Phone rings, pick it up. Hello? It's so-and-so from so-and-so's doctor's office. We just want to let you know we got your test results back. And I said, okay, great. And at that point, my husband like came out because he saw my eyes get big. And so he comes out and joins me on the patio, and they said, great news, it's not genital warts. And I go, okay. They go, bad news, it's cancer. We're going to give you the name of an oncologist. It's, Dr. So-and-so, and good luck.
Does this doctor know what good news is? Like, because to me, I'm trying to decide, I think genital wart, and I don't know that I'd ever say this. I think genital warts might be the good news.
I don't think that any of it was going to be in the realm of good news for a normal person, but it floored me the way that it was delivered. I've had really bad news given to me over the phone, but with a little bit of care.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't really feel like yeah. I mean, don't they normally tell you to go in and like we'd like you to come in, maybe bring somebody with you. I mean, honestly, at that fucking point you're like, well, I know I have cancer now. I don't know.
I found it odd too, because I thought, oh, they're calling to tell me. That must be good. And so my defense walls went down a little bit, thinking, okay, it's going to be good news and it's nothing to worry about. And then it was boom. And it's so strange because in this 1 week period of time, I had more real life moments that mirrored what some people would consider like that's a movie moment, like the crazy way that they handled my biopsy situation, and then the way my husband climbed into the shower with me fully clothed, and to getting the phone call. And I remember having the phone by my head and then just dropping, and it hit the floor, and my husband just grabbed me, and that was it. And then we spent, the next few weeks figuring out what to do. I'm so blessed that the oncologist I was referred to is an amazing doctor, amazing woman. She's got such a good sense of humor, which is how I deal with things. So I was grateful that I didn't get someone that just wanted to shuffle me through and didn't let me be me through the process, because it was absolutely instrumental in getting through it. And then that's when TikTok came in, and I hadn't even told so many people in my family yet. I called my mom and my sister and told them. And I think a girlfriend, but that was pretty much it. And I was just stuck inside my head, and I hadn't even told my son yet, because he was right at the tail end of his track and field season, and I didn't want to mess with his head. And so we were kind of keeping it hush. He sensed something was going on. So by the time that we had a plan and figured out what we were going to do next, in terms of surgery and treatment and stuff, he had his state championship. He won. It was an amazing accomplishment. And then I sat him down and I said, hey, bud, I got to tell you something. And I told him, I was diagnosed with what's called vulvar cancer. And the vulva is the outer portion of the female genitalia. People call it a vagina, but that's really just the inside, portal. I'm struggling to explain it in words that I think that, a 16, 17-year-old boy is really going to understand. I mean, I know he understands anatomy and biology, but, he's not had to give a lot of deep thought into, majora, menorah, like menorah. Is it Hanukkah? Yeah. This is exciting. So when I told him, and I'm trying to keep it cool, and he's being really cool, and he kind of reached over and held my hand, and he was like, do you feel okay? And I said, yeah, I feel okay. And he goes, should I be worried that this is hereditary? There was never a more precious moment. And also I realized maybe I had told him too many times that you're so smart. You're just the smartest boy. You're going to be so successful. You go out there in the world and you just kill it. I hadn't really been paying attention.
I mean, yeah, like I understand I understand that like thought process. It's like when somebody tells you they have COVID and your immediate thought is, fuck, what about me? Like, I was just with this person.
Yeah. That was,
Mm.
that,
We're all so selfish, aren't we?
I suppose. Um,
Yeah.
but I had surgery, and, as I mentioned before, I think I have like a bionic vulva now. It does
Yeah.
tricks.
What kind of tricks does it do?
Ooh, it's really, I wouldn't, maybe it's not tricks, but maybe it's more like, if there was such a thing as like vaginal MMA, I think I could be like a Ronda Rousey,
Okay.
you know?
All right. So this happens, and if I'm correct, you started sharing about it like pretty soon after, like maybe shortly after you had told your
Yeah.
son?
So after I told my son, I realized, I didn't want to just have this in my head. I was really just in my own thoughts. I just wanted to get it out there because I didn't know what was going to happen next. And, I was kind of sharing regularly at that point, and I was worried that my behavior would change or something. And I didn't want to have to, I don't know why. I just felt compelled. I'm just going to get this out now because it felt right. And there just so happened to be a trend going around that fit it perfectly.
What was that?
It's that song where people are like, I'm getting ripped tonight. R.I.P. my.
Actual pussy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
And I
this.
sang it in my garage wearing an Angry Reactions t-shirt. And that was a huge mistake. I will tell you, love to support, people, but wearing that for that, uh, not a lot of thought went into it. Didn't think about it because,
How did that affect it?
his audience is a lot of young kids, a lot, not my demographic. And
Right.
so like 10-year-old kids were duetting my video and making faces like they understood the words I was using. I hope maybe it opened dialogue for some kids to have conversations with their parents about body parts. If they'd been growing up in a house where they call it a TT or a hoo-ha, let's
Yeah.
let's open the dictionary a bit and get real here.
I mean, yeah, I called it something similar to that.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but you also have to know what the real stuff is. So when it comes down to it and you go to the doctor and you're like, my TT burns.
So, I mean, when I watch your channel, honestly, like that's, I think one thing that we have in common is you're very shameless in the way that you share your life and the weird things that happen to you and the horrible things that happen to you. You share them without a filter.
Yeah.
And I think I love that about you. I think it makes you really relatable. And just, I don't know, for those of us, and I used to be one of these people that feel like we always have to put on a good face or feel like we have to, show up on our Sunday best every day. It's exhausting. And so it's kind of inspiring to see, people share parts of their life that are really vulnerable in such a shameless, unfiltered kind of way.
Well, I was happy that I did it, and it's been very cyclical because initially I was happy to have gotten that off my chest.
Yeah.
And then I got very overwhelmed with what felt like now my responsibility to educate or communicate with people who wanted information when I was in the throes of it myself and didn't feel like I had always that to give. So there were a few times where I didn't get to answer someone's messages, and they got angry with me. And so at that point, I realized I need to reel back a little bit of
Yeah.
how much I'm sharing here because it's putting me in an awkward place that I'm not ready to be a part of. And then I would go through, okay, I feel strong enough now to be the voice of this again. And it comes and it goes because, other things happen in life that your strength has to be put somewhere else. And I can't always be the lady who wants to talk about um, women's health care, but sometimes I can be. So I've given myself that grace that when I have that strength, I'll give that. And when I don't feel bad about it anymore because I'm just living the life that I have to live. Um, it
Yeah.
it's hard.
What do you think it is that you would recommend people that are just starting out on this app or that are struggling to build should do in order to help their channel grow?
The one piece of advice that isn't cookie cutter that everyone else could tell you is something that I learned a little bit late, and that is don't ask for the advice of the people in your real life about what it is you should share online because they know a different you than the online people do.
Yeah.
So if you know what you want to share about you or about your subject matter that you're trying to, create for, trust your gut. If you're a
Yeah.
comedian and you want to share funny stuff, are you going to ask, you know, your mom or your sister, someone who doesn't make you laugh or that doesn't that doesn't, really have that comedy bone? Are you going to ask them, hey, is this funny? Because what really are you getting in return? You're just getting some validation and approval to go ahead with something. You're not actually learning that, hey, that was great.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta agree with you. And I honestly, I learned this a long time ago with some of the other businesses that I've created. And your family and friends are always the first people to say no. They're always the first people to want to keep you in the box that they know you um, as. And I have had my family and friends, laugh or think that the ideas that I was having were silly. And it's always after you become successful with it that people will then come and be like, "Wow, that's really interesting. Like, I'm so impressed that you did that." Or like with my event company, a year later, my parents who originally hated the idea of me starting an event production company, a year later, they were saying, "You know what kind of an event you should do?"
Yep.
I'm like, "Really? Okay." And I laugh at it and I listen, like later on, I listen to what they have to say, but you have to take all of that advice with a grain of salt because your friends and family will be the first people to shut you down. I used to have all my friends call me Talk Talk. And they just thought it was hilarious that I was on TikTok. And I never got on trying to build. For me, I wasn't trying to build. I was just enjoying TikTok. I really got on. I thought it was just such an interesting place because I hated Facebook. I didn't even have Instagram back then.
Yeah.
I found them really boring, and I didn't like the drama that happened
For
on
sure.
Facebook and
For sure.
all of that. And so I came on TikTok and I was like, oh,
My
I'm like
people.
people are weird here.
I
Like, I
love it.
like that.
Yeah.
They were creative and they were dancing and they were singing
It
and
was like
telling
walking around a
stories.
fun house and you never
Yeah,
knew what was going to be around the next corner. I mean, it was
exactly.
crazy. And I
Yeah.
love that because that's how my brain works. You never know
Yes.
what the next thought's going to be. You could just be totally normal and I'm doing taxes. And the next thing, I'm inquiring about what really is a hemorrhoid, like,
And you can, like, there's such a community of people on TikTok
yeah,
where you won't get outside of your friends on Facebook, maybe Instagram, but not in the same way. And I found that so inspiring to see different people doing different things and becoming successful with it and meeting new people from all around the world. Like, it was TikTok really struck a chord with me right away, and I was like, I love this. And I didn't give a shit what my friends and family called me, and they seriously called me Talk Talk. That was their name for me, and they thought it was hilarious. And now they don't think it's that funny, and they think like, I can't believe you made something of that. When I hit my first 100,000, I went and bought 100 donuts. I ate two and took the rest to the Mission, which is like our like soup kitchen, And I ate 2 of them. That was my celebration. And I literally celebrated with nobody. I didn't celebrate like any of my milestones with anybody because nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
Nobody fucking cared.
I've never had that moment where someone was like, oh, wow. I mean, my husband does boast about it, but he hated it to begin with. He was like, this is a time suck and you're being weird for everyone to see, you know, put your weird away. And I was like, I will not. Life is short.
I want it to be out in the open. I want everybody to feel my weirdness.
But then he's also the first person to tell me, you know, whenever I get in that place of, you know, gosh, I'm sick of being the vulva lady, you know, on the internet. And he goes, but you started a really important conversation. And the women who you've saved, who have personally messaged you and you've talked to, that is a big deal. Don't minimize yourself. Even if you don't want to keep doing it, don't minimize what you did. And I was like, no, thanks, man.
Aw, I love that. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was an outlet, you know, because a lot of people actually don't know me as this person. Like they don't see this side of me because it's really a side of me that only comes out when I'm drinking or when I'm with my best friends or my family, when I'm this weird. Every other part of the day, I've got to be mom or I've got to be a business owner or, you know, like I have all these sides of me that I have to be professional or, you know, classy or not regular,
put
normal.
Together.
Yeah, I got to be that person. And so I don't get to be this kooky, weird person that I am on the inside. And so for me, it was like this outlet. It was amazing. I fucking love TikTok.
It's so cathartic,
so
isn't it?
Grateful. Yeah.
Like you feel like you have a place now to say things that you've wanted to say, even if they're silly, but it's just, you know, I've wanted to say that for a long time and I thought I was going to be laughed out of a room, but you guys are a bunch of weirdos too. And I know that you're going to like it. So let's be weird together.
I think that would be my best advice, honestly, for people that are like getting onto TikTok. I think that when I really started to be successful on TikTok, it was when I had made enough videos and spent enough time on TikTok that I let go. Because for the initial, you know, period of like a year or so on TikTok, I was always self-conscious about how I looked. I was always, you know, like trying to like plan it to be perfect. And like I do like 40, you know, sets. And I think it's the imperfection that people love.
For me, it's a fun outlet and I have my job. So I sort of take it as a sign for myself that if I don't have anything crazy or funny or wild, I mean, I have all these little things, you know, I could do a video a day of some little weird thing. Weird stuff happens to me all the time, but I don't. Like a lady at the gym told me that she thought I was going to fight her. Like she was scared of me. A woman at the grocery store on the same day had a discussion with me about chocolate crucifixes, and that somehow transitioned into a topic of transgender children. Not from me. I just stood there. I mean, weird stuff happens to me all the time. And then I had some random little girl ring my doorbell and tell me she's dehydrated and ask me for water. I've never seen her a day in my life. Who are you? Where did you come from? What? So all in one day that happened. So there's plenty of things that I could, you know, share about, but I'm like, I don't really find it that funny. So if I don't find it funny repeating it to, you know, my husband or my son or my sister, I'm like, I'm not going to share that. So then if I don't have anything that is worth sharing, I just take that as the universe's way of giving me a respite. And you don't need to be sharing stuff on the internet. Not everyone needs to see your face every day. You don't always have to share stuff. Just be cool, man. Just be cool and live your life and wait for something to happen organically, and it will.
I mean, yes and no. I went away on vacation recently and I came back and like I just had nothing for days. And I wanted to like create and like, you know, make some videos. And I just like, I couldn't come up with nothing. I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to start posting some shit. And hopefully that'll get the creative juices flowing. And So far, I'm still not creative, but I am posting shit on the internet. So hopefully something good will
Yeah,
happen
just keep
soon.
putting your hand in the bucket and hope you come out with something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. Anyways, Natalie, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show, and thanks for spending the last couple hours with me. You are a fucking rock star. I really, truly love seeing your videos and the ones where you share about your son, just so fucking candidly, because it's something that I think all of us moms really, relate to. And it's when you cried about your son leaving when he was down visiting for vacation, I cried. I fucking cried so hard because watching that happen to you and knowing that that is what is exactly coming for me, I can't imagine. So yeah, I
Just
just want
know
to say
I
I
had
love your
grown
channel.
I had grown men reach out to me and say, I that killed me. I was bawling my eyes out. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, I'm telling you, those kids have us wrapped around their fingers.
They do, and it's it's nice in some ways to see somebody else kind of sharing that they're going through
Yeah.
that too,
Yeah.
when you're kind of scared that's what you're going to go through. And I think your channel has a lot of value, and I'm
But
so glad
but look
to
at the
call you my
look at the possibility of personal growth, because I went from that crying on New Year's Eve, which is fully acceptable. Big feelings come with big change. But this past week, not only was it my first Easter without him at home, but it was also his birthday, his 19th birthday, the first
oh.
one that we've ever had apart since I invented him. So like
I like that.
I got through it. My bosses allowed me to work from home that day because I was like, I'm going to be an emotional liability. And they're like, yeah, you should work from home. And I was like, that's great. But he was a sweet boy and FaceTimed his mom that day, and
Mm.
all good stuff. And he just left today to go back to school. And look at me. I haven't
You're
cried.
okay.
I'm great.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's going to get better, but God, that's a
Yeah.
whole different life.
It'll
A
get
whole different
it'll
life
get
without
better
kids.
faster if you let it be worse first.
Yeah, I know. I'm but this close from crying, but I'll be fine. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And yeah, I'll talk to you very soon. And if you guys want to find Natalie on TikTok or Instagram, you can look her up at Parody Mom.
Love
Take care.
ya.